What's going on, Bulls fans? We got to talk about something that I did not expect to talk about early this morning. I had to go live on this. Couldn't even wait to the daily. Derrick Rose has officially retired from the NBA. We're going to talk about it all and more, but first, we got to play this intro.
Tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
I see red, I see red, I see red, I see red, yeah, I see red, I see red, I see red, I see.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this for today. This could not wait to the daily. This is news, and I think this is going to be news that affects a whole generation of Bulls fans or basketball fans in general, because Derrick Rose had the love of the world, not just with Chicago, but of course it was a little bit stronger here in Chicago. Derrick Rose has now officially retired per Shams Charania from basketball. This is major, saying this direct quote: "The next chapter is about chasing my dreams and sharing my growth. I believe true success comes from becoming who you were created to be. And I want to show the world who I am, but beyond basketball. Whether good or bad, everyone has a what-if story in their life. Even if I could, I wouldn't change anything in mine because it's what helped me find my real joy." The 2011 NBA MVP, the youngest MVP all time, three-time All-Star, 2009 Rookie of the Year. He played for the Bulls, the Knicks, the Timberwolves, the Cavs, the Pistons, the Grizzlies. But most importantly, more than anything, you guys saw I highlighted that on the thumbnail because we got two different versions of Derrick Rose with the Chicago Bulls on that thumbnail. Derrick Rose's time with Chicago will always be the most meaningful in my opinion, right? And am I a little selfish in saying that? Of course, I'm a Bulls fan. There's going to be a little selfishness in saying that, but I think I'm not, it's no hyperbole to say that Derrick Rose is the most important Bull of a generation. I think that when you just look at the time that we had the most faith again in the Chicago Bulls was with Derrick Rose being in a Chicago Bulls uniform. That's when our faith was restored the most. That's when we've been the closest to being a contender, having the best record in the NBA, doing those type of things. Like, the Bulls were a legitimate force. That team with Derrick Rose and Tom Thibodeau and Joakim Noah, that team was a force. And while it didn't last an extremely long amount of time, right, when you go back and look at it, Derrick Rose's tenure here with the Chicago Bulls is something that nobody can take away from this team. Nobody can take away from the franchise. Nobody can take away from the city. This does not feel real. And for me, right, it was different. Yeah, I was alive throughout most of Jordan's career. He was drafted to the Bulls before I was born. I got to see a lot of it, but I didn't understand basketball the way I did, right? I say a lot on this podcast, the fact that the first player that I got to see ever throughout college, through their NBA career, watching their whole entire career that was Baron Davis. That was the first one for me. I have a huge affinity for Baron Davis because he was the first player I, as a teenager, saw in college and said, that dude is crazy, right? And I got to see his whole NBA career, and his NBA career got majorly impacted by injuries, a knee injury, right? And Derrick Rose was the one for my Bulls that I got to see that, right? I got to see the kid from Chicago who was playing on that Memphis team that went to the NCAA tournament, one of the more exciting NCAA championship games you will ever watch. And then for that to turn around, that bull season that we came into with so much kind of thought and hope that team was going to take another step up, that team that season before we drafted Derrick Rose disappointed. And for that to end, the duality of watching Derrick Rose's college season to watching the Chicago Bulls come in with so much expectation after sweeping the defending champions the year prior and then ending up with the first overall pick and that culminating in Derrick Rose. That's why you can never really predict certain things, how things are going to go. Going into that season, have anybody said the Bulls are going to have the number one overall pick, most people would have looked and said, there's no way this Bulls team that is this good, that has been 5 years straight to the playoffs, is going to end up with the number one overall pick, and that team has gotten better, right? The team is still together. Then you have that season. Derrick Rose comes, wins Rookie of the Year. Very early into Derrick Rose's career, you could tell, hey, no, he's going to have it, right? And then by year 3 in the NBA, winning an MVP, being the reason that we have the restored faith in this team, and we thought it was all up after that. And unfortunately, the chips fell where they fell, and Derrick Rose gets hurt. He's never really able to be back to Derrick Rose consistently. He has flashes after that, but Derrick Rose's time, his tenure, the run with the Bulls is not one that anybody should ever forget. And yeah, it's because it's for my favorite franchise, the franchise that I grew up rooting for, the franchise that I grew up loving, the franchise I grew up giving my time, effort, energy, and emotions to. And to have that, and it end up in Derrick Rose, man. Derrick Rose, bro, a guy who the NBA loved because of the effort. Right now, you hear the stories about Derrick Rose and how, people feared him and they didn't want to play against him. And, the Derrick Rose flu, as they call it, like those type of things. Like that time between 2008 to 2016, when he left this team, one of the best runs that we've had as Bulls fans. And while I hoped that if he was going to retire, he signed a one-day contract with the Chicago Bulls, doesn't seem like that's going to happen. He's going to be a Bull forever. And that's just is what it is. He's going to be a Bull forever, for life. He's always going to be looked at as a Bull, and he should always be looked at as a Bull. Derrick Rose retiring from the NBA is crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. Just all love to Derrick Rose. What he continues to do for the city, because he's not somebody who left and all of a sudden stopped doing for the city. Now, he still puts on for the city. So make sure you guys, if you're going to tell the story of Derrick Rose, you always have to tell the story that our boy still puts on for the city of Chicago. He doesn't let anybody forget where he's from. He doesn't let anybody forget what the city of Chicago meant to him and how it helped him be the person that he turned into, the player that he turned into, right? We don't have a lot of great stories nationally from Chicago. We should have more. I want to be clear that it's not because we don't have great stories and great people who grow and come from the city of Chicago. No, there's actually a lot of us, right? But what Derrick Rose specifically is meant for an era of basketball and an era of sports fans. I mean, you can't deny that, man. So that's crazy, man. Since he announced his retirement, does that prevent him from signing a one-day contract? If I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure the chat will correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Joakim Noah announced his retirement before signing his one-day contract. So technically, no, I don't think so. So he could technically still sign that one-day contract with the Bulls. If I'm the Bulls, I'm on the phone with his agent right now. And I'm like, hey, D, hey, Rose, what do we need to do to make this right? What do we need to do to make this right? Like, can we fly you out here, right? Are you already in the city of Chicago? What can we do? But we need you to sign on this dotted line before you officially submit your retirement papers to the league. That's what, if I'm the Bulls, and I know, don't get me wrong, the Bulls do a lot of bullshit because they are the Chicago Bulls. There is a lot of bullshit that comes with the Bulls organization and franchise. But if I'm the Chicago Bulls, there's not a way in hell I'm allowing Derrick Rose to retire, and I'm not at the very least reaching out to him to get him to sign a one-day contract. That's at the very least. There's not a world in which I'm doing that. So I'm sorry that I'm not doing that. So hopefully the Bulls are being, a halfway decent franchise, right? That they are smart and they think about their fan base. Actually, while you try to do a lot of things to nostalgia bait Bulls fans and do all this other bullshit, the one thing that you can do that we're all going to universally love and appreciate you for, go and make it right. Go and sign Derrick Rose to a one-day contract, and let's get it done. Let him retire as Chicago Bull. Yeah, it's sentimental. It's more sentimental than anything, but you know what? Fuck it. Derrick Rose is sentimental to Bulls fans. And while I admit it, I just said it a couple days ago, I did not want to see Derrick Rose sign a contract to actually play for the Chicago Bulls. You know, one thing I do want wholeheartedly is Derrick Rose to retire a goddamn Bull. That's what I want. Make it right, AK. In fact, you know what? Not even AK. Jerry himself should be on the phone right now. Jerry and the ghost of Jerry Krause, even though Krause had nothing to do with it, should be on the phone to call Derrick Rose and say, D, hey, bro, go ahead and come here, man. We'll roll out the red carpet for you. Let's get this one-day contract signed and then let him retire. That's what I think you got to do. They have to sign him to retire. They must end retire. No, they can't. Well, Bulls aren't retiring jerseys anymore. So they've already announced that. That's why they created the Ring of Honor. So what they said they're going to do the Ring of Honor every 2 years. You have to be officially retired 3 years. So we're looking at 6 years from now. It's probably when Derrick Rose will enter the Ring of Honor, unless they make a caveat for him, which they could very well do, right? So that's something that you're looking at there, is that, even the Ring of Honor thing, it's going to be a few years until Derrick Rose is entered in that Ring of Honor. So Bulls Daily says Rose still got the best shoes worn in the Christmas game as well. Hey, listen, that was an epic moment. Derrick Rose was the player that made me a basketball fan. He's the player that made me a Bulls fan. I think of him I thank him every day for everything he's done for Chicago. Hey, man, couldn't been any better said, man. Bulls Daily says, I was born in 98, grew up an MJ fan, but not being able to watch him play, I idolized D Rose. Most of the best times as a Bulls fan was 2008 to 2016, when D Rose made everybody in the city felt like they could. Hey, I feel you, man. And then one of the greatest moments of basketball history, and people can fight me if they want to, is Derrick Rose prior to that season coming in and saying, why not me? Why can't I win MVP? And then turn around and going and winning MVP. So listen, got to give love to that one, man. Like, it's crazy. Youngest MVP forever, fellow Chicago kid. He brought me back after years of being a passive fan. He did that to a lot of people. The Lob Mob. Derrick Rose was era by himself, all by himself, bro. All by himself. He's number 2 Bull of all time for me, behind second only to MJ. Hey, I feel that. 100% feel that. If you're talking about best, so I know people can't, and I'm not judging it, right? I'm somebody who's able to separate the best from my favorite, right? I can realize that there's some objectivity in saying who's your best versus who your favorite. My second favorite Bull of all time is Joakim Noah. Personally, second best Bull of all time is Derrick Rose. But yeah, that's just my personal thing. Is that, and that's my personal list. D Rose is the exception. I would listen if you're gonna make any exception. I can definitely feel that, because you can't give that jersey number to anybody else, right? They have to do something special for him this year. Oh, for sure. If he roll out the red carpet, get him to come to the United Center, do whatever you can. To me, in my opinion, do whatever you can, because Derrick Rose deserves that, in my opinion, bro. So I know that's not something that everybody's gonna agree with, but yeah, that's crazy, man. Crazy. Derrick Rose officially retires from the NBA. Man, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy, man. If there were one player the Bulls should retire the jersey for, it's D Rose. Jerry needs to make the exception number 1 forever. Listen, I agree. It would be extremely hard for anybody to wear number 1. Like, I just don't know how it could be done. Like, I don't know how you could smooth that over. Like, maybe 20 years from now, maybe, right? Maybe. And that's even saying maybe, but I don't think the city of Chicago or Bulls fans would even accept anybody else wearing number 1. I just don't think that. I could be completely wrong on that. I just don't think that they would. I don't think anybody in Chicago would accept it. Not like real Bulls fans that live and die this. I don't necessarily see that happening. But hey, I mean, I've been wrong about things before. I could be wrong again. So, but man, this is crazy. I did not expect my morning. If you could not, listen, I'm going to tell y'all a little peek behind the curtain. Barely brushed my teeth this morning before I got on this live stream. Had to quickly wash my face, brush my teeth. We on live. Because yeah, the fact that the beard, I haven't even picked my beard out. The fact that it looks semi together is wild. But listen, we're gonna come here. We're gonna celebrate Derrick Rose. Beard be damned, right? So that's what it comes down to. But all right, y'all, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. This won't be the last time that we talk about this. We'll do something for Derrick Rose over on Locked On Bulls today as well. By the way, for those that don't know, so what we're doing now with Locked On Bulls, still Bull Central's not changing. Bull Central's not going anywhere. But for Locked On Bulls going forward, it's going to be a live stream show every weekday, 11 a.m. Chicago time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys want a live, and we're gonna like now it's just a live stream of the live show. I mean of the recording, but I'm over time I'm gonna do something to make it like more of an interactive kind of like morning show that you would see on like an ESPN, see on NBC Sports or something like that. Like so, we're gonna incorporate it. It's gonna be Bulls focused, but I finally figured out the lane that I want to take Locked On Bulls to, and that lane is going to be live, at least on YouTube. You always get the podcast version afterwards, but so you can set your clocks to it now. Locked On Bulls, live, every weekday, 11 a.m. Chicago time, 12 p.m. Eastern time to 11:30, 12:30, 30-minute live show. Make sure you guys stay in tune with that. Go and check out over there. But otherwise, guys, I appreciate you so much. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you guys want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up. No, that's the Bears. Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Go Bulls. See you ready.